Welcome everybody to Snake Prince Vlogs. I'm your host, Prince Elias. This is Coils. Today we did a music video. It was supposed to be Jimmy, but he's in shed. So the client asked for an alternative and Coils was the lucky chosen. It was great. But anyways, this video, it's been on my heart for a minute. And I'm not trying to bash anyone. I'm not even trying to bash the hobby. I just want to speak from my heart. I just really feel like nowadays people are too breeders, mainly breeders in the industry, are too obsessed with morphs. Morphs are cool. Morphs are dope. I have a couple of morphs. I have a spider. Coils here is a pastel. I have a lesser. I have a cinnamon. I have a Henji Woma, even though he looks normal. He's still super dope. So morphs are cool, but I feel like the way the industry is and the way breeders are talking nowadays on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and stuff is like, it's bad. It's a disappointment, or it's a bad clutch when you have single gene animals pipping out, or wow type, or what we call normals, or what Bosa call classics. That looks like the wild type ball pythons. It's considered a disappointment, or it's considered a bad clutch or bad odds. Like, we didn't reach the odds because we have single gene animals or two gene animals. We don't have the what they call powerhouses. And I get it. I get everybody wants the world's first. Everybody wants a powerhouse. Everybody wants that it snake that when you post on Instagram, people go crazy. Like, everybody talks about when Justin Kabelka drops a snake on Instagram, everybody wants to now breed that type of snake. And I feel like everybody is too obsessed with these powerhouse morphs that we lose sight of why we even got in the ball python business in the first place. Because I bet you a lot of these breeders, a lot of you breeders, when you first got into snakes, when you first got into reptiles, a lot of y'all got into reptiles when y'all were kids. The first reptile you ever fell in love with was not a morph. And if it was like a single gene morph or a two gene morph. It wasn't what we consider powerhouses. And I've even started hearing, because I listen to a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of vlogs. I watch a lot of lives, whether it's Instagram, YouTube. I like to support as many people as I can, especially those who preach positivity and love. I try to support as much people as I can. But one thing I'm starting to notice from a lot of people, and even one breeder started slick calling people out, but not really calling them out, just putting subliminals about people, breeders, culling. And if you don't know what culling is, it's like euthanizing or killing certain baby snakes because they are normals, and letting them become, if a normal pip out the egg, that's considered automatic cobra food, or food for their king snake, or food for, any snake that eat other snakes, or their lizards, their monitor lizards. Like, oh, I got a normal ball python, or I got this, or I got that. Or it's just a normal pastel or a normal cinnamon. It doesn't have OG or XYZ or xanthic and yada 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 all in it. Then it's automatic food for another animal. And I'm like, really? Like, it's giving Aryan race vibes. It's giving bloodline. It's very weird. It's weird how people who claim to be animal lovers are so obsessed with aesthetics and looks that they forget that these are living creatures. They forget that these are animals. They forget that these have a heartbeat, a brain, and they forget that they have a privilege of creating life. You guys are creating life. You're contributing to conservation, because we're no longer pulling these animals out the wild. So you're, helping with the conservation of the wild animals with, breeding, captive breeding. But it's like, it's hard to explain, but it's given like, I'm more obsessed with looks than I am with the actual animal, if that makes sense. And it's like, and also not just that, not just obsessed with genes to where if it comes out normal, you're going to automatically kill it and make it food for your monitor lizard. But it's like, not only that, oh, I got it. This is what I wanted to say. And not only are y'all more obsessed with the looks rather than the actual animal that exists, the actual living creature, the heartbeat that exists, but you're forgetting about the common everyday people who would like a pet snake. So like, you guys are forgetting about the common everyday customer, the normal just family just want a pet snake, or the child or teenager that just want a pet snake, or just any average Joe. Y'all are more obsessed with breeding for other breeders. Let me breed this $20,000-$30,000 snake that only Justin Gabelka could afford, or only that Ozzy Boys could afford, or only that Bob's Balls could afford. It's like y'all are breeding for breeders instead of just breeding for the entire community. The reptile community isn't just breeders. Just like the reptile community tried to throw shade at Animal Con because it wasn't a real reptile show, it was more of a show for YouTubers, animal YouTubers, pet YouTubers in the hobby, you know, fish people, lizard people, reptile people, ants, bugs, spiders, arachnids, things like that. People were throwing shots at Animal Con saying it's not a real reptile show and it's only for YouTubers. Well, guess what? The animal community, the pet community isn't just the breeders. Yes, the breeders are important, but y'all aren't the only people in the community. There are everyday people in the community. There are educators in the community. There are entertainers in the community. There are hobbyists who just like to collect in the community and don't have no plans on breeding. They just like to collect nice animals and different types of animals. There are YouTubers in the community. There are TikTokers in the community. This community isn't a monolith. There are people of color in the community. There are queer people in the community. This community is vast range. This community is not just breeders, but y'all have lost sight of that. And it's disheartening. And it's turned me off to where, you know, when people ask, oh, do you plan on breeding your snakes? I kind of get a negative reaction like, no, why would I want to do that? Like, and it's no knock to the breeders, because I know some great breeders. I know some awesome, nice breeders. I know some honorable breeders, some moral breeders. But it seems now that it just shows it's becoming like more elitist, more, if you're not like us, you're wrong. If you're different than us, you're wrong. And if you don't breed for breeders, you're wrong. If you don't breed powerhouse genes and 50 genes and Orange Dream, Osmosis, Pastel, Yellow Belly Con, then your snake is worthless. Like, if you can't, if your snake isn't worth college tuition, it ain't worth shit. That's the mentality that a lot of y'all have, and it's showing. Like, I got turned off by egg cutting videos. I used to love watching breeders, small and big, because some people do it on Instagram Live. Not everybody is on YouTube. Some people be on Instagram Live. They be like, hey, we got a clutch of eggs. They're pipping. Let's go ahead and cut and see what we got. I'm starting to get turned off by watching them, because so many of them will cut open an egg, look at the baby and say, oh man, it's just a normal. Oh man, it's just this. Oh man, it's just that. Such a disappointment. The odds are not in our favor. And it's like, y'all, you just gave life to something. You just contribute to the wildlife community. A lot of these animals, I'm not saying ball pythons, because ball pythons is plentiful, but a lot of these reptiles, like let's say the rhino iguanas, the cyclurus, those breeds are almost endangered or close to extinction in the wild. And so these breeders are helping keeping them alive and their bloodline alive. And it's like, and quite honestly, I'm only seeing it in the ball python community. It's like, y'all look at it and y'all are disappointed. Y'all not happy that the animal is healthy. Y'all not happy that the animal is alive. Y'all not grateful to God or the universe that, you know, your snake gave you 10 eggs and all 10 eggs have hatched, there is no deformities, you're upset because it wasn't a world's first, or it wasn't what Justin Kaboka had produced, or it wasn't what Ozzy Boyd had produced, or it wasn't. And it's like, I feel like a lot of breeders forgot why they even got in this hobby in the first place. Why they fell in love with these animals in the first place. They no longer value these animals. A lot of pastels like coils, this beautiful, wonderful snake, are in somebody's freezer right now because they did not have Orange Dream, Yellow Belly, Xanthic, Pie Clown all in their genetic pools. And that's sad. That is really, really sad. And I'm trying not to get emotional on camera, but that's just, I just wish breeders will go back to why they started in the first place. Go back to what was that first ball python that you saw as a kid or as a teenager that made you fall in love. Because I bet you 9 times out of 10, they were not a 15 gene animal. They were not something that Ozzy Boyd or Justin Kaboka produced. They were probably a normal pied, a normal spider, a normal pastel, or just a normal, a classic, super classic ball python. And like I said, I don't see this anywhere else. I don't see Mike's monitors hatching out monitor eggs and saying, oh my gosh, this is a disappointment because it's just a normal monitor. It's not an albino. It's not a XYZ 7. I don't see that in other reptiles but ball pythons. Y'all shit on ball pythons. Y'all joke on ball pythons being pet rocks. But y'all rely on ball pythons to pay your bills. And you're so desperate to create the perfect ball python, the perfect looking ball python, that you forget that every ball python that's happy and healthy and alive is perfect the way it is. And that's all I gotta say. I just wish the industry would do better. Do better. Because right now, y'all are making these animals seem worthless now. The way y'all talk, your terminologies, your obsessions to be the world's first. There ain't that many more world's first happening, y'all. We done bred ball pythons so much over the years that there is nothing else you can do. I feel like eventually there will be nothing else you can do. There'll be no more mutations that you could do without it being a health issue at some point. Like, if you go on Morph Market, there's a ball python in every color, every shade. We're treating these animals like we treat each other, honestly. Certain colors are more valuable than others. Certain races are more valuable, race or people, or, you know, that's how y'all started to treat. Y'all start looking at these animals like y'all look at humans, and it's sad. Do better. That's all.